This is Eleanor of Aquitaine. She was born to William V and Eleanor de Rochefort in 1122. Her mom died shortly after giving birth, and food poisoning took out her dad. Before dying, her father appointed Louis VI as her guardian. Louis was affectionately given the nickname Louis the Fat. Louis saw this as an opportunity to marry Eleanor to his son, Louis VII. Louis VII was, in one word, a monk. He was well trained and wanted nothing to do with the crown. Being king had never been something he had thought of in his entire life. Despite their differences and the fact that there was no love in the relationship, they were married anyway. When Louis's older brother died, he was left co-ruling with his father. But then, as nature would have it, his father also died. This was a great loss, as he was considered one of the best kings in French history. Anyway, this left Louis VII as king. And, well, he wasn't making good choices, and this wasn't really fit for him, so tensions between he and Eleanor were growing, to say the least. Anyway, in 1147, Eleanor insisted that she accompany Louis on what would come to be known as the Second Crusade. She brought her 300 ladies-in-waiting who wore armor but did not fight. Anyway, she went on this mission with two goals set in mind: to gain and give protection to her cousin Philip, and to serve as a publicity tour. You see, in the 1000s, you couldn't just become an actress or a singer-songwriter to become famous. You had to go around the world yourself. If you were lucky, on horseback or by ship, but if you were unlucky, on foot. Anyway, Louis wasn't quite cool with this. This whole trip, he had been making poor choices, and everyone had just been looking up to Eleanor being the amazing person she was. She had so many things he didn't. She had plans, she had bravery, she had political influence, she had it all. And, well, he was sort of not all that. He was just so-so, meh. Anyway, the crusade went so-so, whatever, there was fighting, just a crusade. But Eleanor was unhappy because she had successfully created 0 heirs with Louis, because women could not hold the throne. She had 2 daughters but no sons. So, she had to find someone else because he was not being a productive human being. Anyway, when she got home, she made her opinions very clear. And so, their marriage was annulled, and Louis and Eleanor was no more. Only 2 months later, however, Eleanor made plans to marry the cocky redhead Henry Plantagenet in July. It was a big, extravagant wedding, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Henry was not only 11 years younger than her, but she was also the one to propose, technically. Despite their differences once again, she married him with actual love this time. And, things must have been going pretty well, because sooner, rather than later, Eleanor had 8 children, 5 boys and 3 girls. Finally, someone to hold a spot on the throne. Most of her children ended up being actually some great people. One of her sons, however, did not make it to adulthood as he died in infancy. Anyway, her sons, between well-intended treason and murder attempts, were pretty great people. For example, her son Henry fought for a noble cause supported by his mother. Her son Geoffrey did the same. Her son John leaned on her for advice while he held the throne. And her son Richard bailed her out of jail. What great children! Anyway, most of her children ended up being or marrying highly influential political figures, so she earned the nickname from historians Grandmother of Europe, the little place on the globe. Yeah, that one. Anyway, despite having cleared the problem of heirs to the throne, Eleanor was still quite unhappy. That is because Henry was being a genuinely terrible husband. He was with other women pretty much every day and had constant affairs, and he pretty much made no effort to hide it and genuinely didn't care. He was practically telling anyone he saw on the streets. He was also a big hog of all the power. He would not share any of it. Even lands he had promised to his sons, he withheld from them. It was all about him. Perhaps maybe to save what might have been left of her sanity, Eleanor packed her bags to head on a trip to Europe to study and become more enthralled by the courtly arts. Most of the arts she participated in included the courtly arts of love, which she would pretty much declare who had the right in the relationship and other love-related things. Keep in mind, at this point in time, she was 46. When Eleanor arrived, she found that the courtly arts were meant for her. She suited it well there and helped to make the courts better. They were a center for poetry, painting, traveling troubadours, and even modern art. She hosted feasts, and many of her events are still traditions to this day. Yes, in 2024. Anyway, there she was enjoying a normal day when Henry demanded she come back to the palace.
King Henry II has summoned Eleanor of Aquitaine back as he has forgotten how to cook the instant ramen. Please return as soon as possible. He is hungry.
Things were getting rough. Not only did she hate Henry, but Henry was consistently holding back lands from his sons. Eventually, her sons began to side with her, as they both despised the cocky redhead. Sooner rather than later, they got their quills out and devised a plan, all behind Henry's back, and Eleanor supported them through it all. So, without Henry knowing, they planned to defeat him. Anyway, when the time was right, her sons attacked, but sadly they were stopped before they could do any significant damage and forced to flee France. Seeing this as an opportunity to finally leave Henry, Eleanor disguised as a man and tried to leave, but she was stopped and arrested for treason and trapped in her castle, although she was given regular new clothing and food. Anyway, her sons persisted in attempts to take down Henry II. In fact, her son Henry III eventually also died in an attempt to take him down, and they began to lose more than they were gaining. Her son Richard and John were also mad at each other and beginning to turn on each other, but dysentery finally wiped out Henry II. So this left 3 options left for the crown, and Richard was put up on the throne. He went off to fight in the Third Crusade and left Eleanor with power. She did all the things a good queen should. She pardoned offenses against Henry and changed unfair laws, defying all stereotypes of that time that women were stupid and useless. She was pretty much picking up the disasterful scraps left by her husband, Henry II. Sadly, Richard did die, but this left Henry on the throne. Henry relied on Eleanor for her wise advice. Even in her old age, Eleanor was still highly political. Even in her later life, she crossed the Pyrenees mountain range simply to marry her daughter to Louis VIII, son of her ex-husband. However, shortly after that, she retired to live in the Abbey of Fontevraud, where she lived with nuns. It was there that she died in 1204 at the age of 82. She was buried next to her son Richard and husband Henry II.